Good morning everybody and welcome to Tuesday's literacy lesson. So following on from our drawing and labelling an animal yesterday, we are moving on to writing a description of that animal. So some of you chose 2 animals, some of you might have challenged yourself and chosen 3, and you should have drawn a picture of that animal and labelled it with some words and phrases that you can use in your description today. So what I'm looking for from your description, I'm hoping that you are using adjectives, powerful adjectives and adverbs to describe your animal, and hopefully they are on your plan from yesterday. I would like you to be using show, not tell language, and we're going to go through that a little bit more in a minute so you're really clear about what that is. And finally, if you can add those similes, personification and metaphor examples some of you might have used in your plan yesterday, that would be a real challenge. So well done if you can do that. Okay, so first of all, we're going to start the lesson with a game. So I'm going to read you a description of an animal, and I'm not going to tell you what that animal is. While you're listening, you can draw the animal if you would like to, just a quick sketch. And I want you to listen really carefully to how it's described. And then we're going to see if you can guess what that animal is. Okay? So the first animal. High above the canopy, the bright rainbow colours can be seen through the dappled light of the rainforest leaves. The wings spread wide and you can see an assortment of multicoloured feathers swooping through the air. Its screeching can be heard from miles around and all the animals stop to listen. Underneath small, black, beady eyes is a short, curved beak like a small dagger. Watch out, it could peck you. If you want to pause the video for a minute, just to reread the description, have a think, draw the animal if you want to, and then come back and see if you guessed correctly. Okay, should have had time to have another look. Did you guess correctly? It was a parrot. Well done if you got that. I'm just looking at some of the language we used in there. So there's an example of our simile, like a small dagger, comparing its beak to a small dagger. We've got some expanded noun phrases, small, black, beady eyes, and short, curved beak. And we've got some lovely, powerful verbs in there as well. Some adjectives, like dappled light. So let's have a look at our next one and see a little bit harder this time. Okay, so the second description. Deep in the dense undergrowth, this shaggy animal lumbers slowly along a branch. Its long, matted coat hangs from long limbs. It has a snub little black nose and 2 coal black eyes peering out from the gloom. It moves as slowly as a snail. Okay, again, you can pause the video, reread, have a go at sketching the animal, and then come back and see if you guessed correctly. Okay, did you guess correctly? It was a sloth. Well done if you got that. Again, some keywords that give it away, things like lumbers rather than walks, because we know sloths move really slowly, lumbers slowly along a branch. And again, a long matted coat, that means it's all kind of tangled and messy, not sleek and glossy like we talked about the jaguar's coat. Okay, and again, another example of a simile at the bottom there, it moves as slowly as a snail. Okay. So I'd really like you to have a turn. If you can find someone at home, you are going to have a go. Hopefully find somebody who doesn't know which animal you're describing. And I would like you to have a go at describing your animal using some of those phrases you did yesterday. But don't tell them what the animal is. If there's someone at home who's been working closely with you and they know what animal you did, maybe you could pause the video now and spend 5 minutes quickly writing a few phrases about a different animal of your choice. And I'd really like you to use show, not tell language. That means all those lovely, powerful adjectives and noun phrases, similes and metaphors. So you are describing the animal really clearly. Okay, so things like it is big, is not really show, not tell language. I would much prefer a very specific adjective. Okay, really clearly. So pause the video and have 5 or 10 minutes with somebody at home. If there's nobody available to work with you, maybe have a go at quickly writing some notes about a particular animal or a few different animals, and then later on tonight, if someone's free to play, you can have a go at the game then. Okay, so pause the video now. So thinking about the language you were using yesterday to describe your animal, you're going to use that today to write a paragraph about your animal. So we're going to be putting those notes you made yesterday on your picture into full sentences. And we're going to try to use some of that language. So adjectives and expanded noun phrases, the show, not tell language, this really clear description, okay? And similarly, personification and metaphor if you are challenging yourself, and I think lots of you will be. Okay, so let's remind ourselves how some of the animals are introduced in the story. So this is the way we first meet the animals. We hear a little bit of description and how they are moving in the forest. Okay, so the first one here. A long, strong boa constrictor with fierce yellow eyes lived in the kapok tree. Suddenly, he slowly slithered down to where the man was sleeping and hissed in his ear. Okay, we've got some lovely description there of the boa constrictor. So it doesn't say a long snake. We've got a long, strong boa constrictor, fierce yellow eyes. Okay, I like this here, which is a little bit of alliteration, I thought, when reading. Suddenly, he slowly slithered. Lots of sounds. Okay, really effective. Have a look at the next one. Next, a small bright green frog with crimson red eyes crawled along a leaf which was gently swaying in the light breeze, tickling the man's ear. He quietly squeaked into the man's ear. Okay. Again, very specific language there. So the frog crawled. He didn't walk along a leaf, he crawled. There's lots of different ways to move, so try to be specific when you're talking about how your animal moves. And finally, a few minutes later, 4 porcupines scampered down from the tree, their great spikes sticking up on end menacingly. They gently whispered to the man. Lovely adverb here, menacingly. It sounds quite threatening, doesn't it? Those big spikes on the porcupine's back. So 3 examples from the model text of a short description of each animal, introducing the animal, and we find out what they look like and also how they move and how they speak. Okay, so that's going to be your task for today. We've got the example of the monkeys there to look at. Now you'll see it introduces the monkeys. It talks about what they look like, and it talks about how they move. In the middle, you'll see here, Senor, you chop down one tree and then another. Without these trees, there will be nothing left to hold the earth in place. When the rain comes, the soil will be washed away and the forest will become a desert. So that speech there, we're not going to worry about too much today because we're going to be looking at speech later on in the week, and we're going to be practicing our speech punctuation. We're going to have a little reminder about that. So I'm not too worried about you including speech today in your description. What I really want you to focus on is how your animals move, what they look like, and how they would speak. Okay, not so much what they were saying, but how they would speak. Okay, so let's do one example together. So I'm going to use the jaguar from yesterday, and if you remember some of the notes that I made, I said the jaguar had a glossy, spotty coat. I had a simile on there, which was teeth as sharp as knives. And then I thought about how my animal moved, and I had him prowling confidently through the rainforest. So I'm going to use those bits of my description from yesterday, those phrases, and put them into my paragraph today. Okay, I'm going to start with an opener. So we don't just want to start every sentence with the subject, the jaguar, it. We want to try and think of different ways. And if you look back at our examples from the model text, you'll see we've got some fronted adverbials there. So we've got next and we've got a few minutes later. So I think for me, I'm going to try and start with a fronted adverbial to say when it's happening. I'm going to use later, okay? And I'm going to start by describing what my creature looks like. So later, big. I know that big's not a particularly powerful adjective. I'm going to try huge because they are really big jaguars, one of the biggest cats. So a huge jaguar, and I'm going to look back at my plan and I'm going to make sure I use that simile because I was really proud of that simile with teeth as sharp as knives. I think it's really descriptive. So later, a huge jaguar with teeth as sharp as knives. And then I'm going to look at how he moved. So remember I said prowling. I'm going to use that from my plan. So later, a huge jaguar with teeth as sharp as knives prowled confidently through the rainforest. Okay, let me check I'm happy with that sentence. Later, a huge jaguar with teeth as sharp as knives prowled confidently through the rainforest. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I think actually I'm going to just add in an adjective here to describe my rainforest a little bit more. I could use thick. I think I'm going to use dense, which means that there's lots of leaves. It's not a big open space. There's lots of trees and leaves and quite an enclosed space. So later, a huge jaguar with teeth as sharp as knives prowled confidently through the dense rainforest. Okay, I'm going to look back at my plan now. So I've talked about there how he moves. Now I'm going to start to think about his appearance. Okay, so I'm going to talk about his glossy spotty coat. Remember, you should have lots of phrases on your plan already, so you're not having to start all over again. His glossy spotty coat, I'm going to say glinted in the sun because that's how I see him moving, that he's this really big, fine creature, kind of king of the rainforest. So his glossy spotty coat glinted in the sun. And actually, I'm going to add morning sun. In fact, I've put later, so I'm going to say midday sun. And remember, this is what I want you to do. I know I'm typing, but when you're writing, cross out, edit, improve, add things in, make changes. That's what writers need to keep doing, okay? His glossy spotty coat glinted in the midday sun as he, there's my subordinating conjunction, as he walked over the rough. So this is what I'm going to include. I've got an example here of a metaphor, the rough carpet of leaves. We know it's not really a carpet, but those leaves are covering the forest floor. It's not soft and smooth, it's rough, okay? But the jaguar was confident, he's used to walking around the rainforest. So in fact, I don't think I want to use walked. I want to use a more powerful verb. I'm trying to think about how cats walk. So I could maybe have strolled. He's not rushing anywhere because he's confident. In fact, I'm going to say padded because he's kind of got his padded claws, his padded feet, the forest floor, and the fact that the forest floor is so rough is not bothering him at all. So his glossy spotty coat glinted in the midday sun as he padded over the rough carpet of leaves. Okay, so now I want to think about how he's going to, any noise he's going to make or how he might speak to the man, okay? I think my jaguar doesn't need to shout. He doesn't need to make lots of noise. He's very confident in himself. So I think he's going to whisper. The jaguar whispered to the man. Okay, so the jaguar whispered to the man. I could even have whispered softly. Okay, I add my adverb in. The jaguar whispered softly to the man. Now remember, I'm not worried about what he's actually saying at the moment. We're going to focus on that a little bit more in another lesson this week. But what I would like to I would like you to think about is how he leaves. So when he's finished speaking to the man, how does he leave? Is he racing away? Is he scampering away? And for my jaguar, I know that he's confident, he's padded, he's quite slow in his movements because he's very sure of himself. Okay, so when he had finished speaking to the man, I'm not going to use whispering again because I don't want to use whisper twice so close to each other. So when he had finished speaking to the man, the jaguar walked slowly away. I'm just looking as well. I've used jaguar quite a lot. A huge jaguar. The jaguar whispered softly to the man. When he had finished speaking to the man, the jaguar. So I think I'm going to change this and actually use a synonym for jaguar. I might put animal, or I'm actually going to use creature. And I'm also going to describe that creature and just remind people how proud he is. Okay, so I'm going to read back through my description. Later, a huge jaguar with teeth as sharp as knives prowled confidently through the dense rainforest. His glossy, spotty coat glinted in the midday sun as he padded over the rough carpet of leaves. The jaguar whispered softly to the man. When he had finished speaking to the man, the proud creature walked slowly away. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that. I've managed to include a description of what the jaguar looked like. I've talked about the noise he makes, how he speaks to the man. I've talked about how he moves through the rainforest and how he leaves. Okay, so there's my description based on my plan I did of the jaguar yesterday. You might be writing 2 descriptions today if you drew and labelled 2 animals yesterday. And remember, it doesn't have to be long. We're not looking for a whole page. We're just looking for 1 paragraph for each animal, introducing them, describing them, showing how they move, how they speak to the man, and how they leave. Okay, and we can add some speech in later in the week. Okay, as ever, we'd love to see anything that you do on your dojo. So post a copy, have a check that you've used all the features that we're looking for, and edit and improve if not. Make sure if you're one of the children who we like to challenge, well, we want to challenge all of you, but some of you especially will be looking for you to challenge yourself with simile, personification and metaphor. That would be fantastic if you could do that. Post those photos on Dojo and I'll see you back here tomorrow. Okay, bye.